come crawling faster. Obey your master. Your life burns faster. Obey your master. 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 Master of puppets of pulling the strings. Twisting your mind and smashing your dreams.
Apparently, dude.
No, I didn't know you meant like I didn't understand the context of what you had stated before. Like I think you said something about her leaving or something. I wasn't sure what you meant by that. So it's finishing up. I still haven't eaten dinner, so I may gonna have to bring dinner here to my desk.
That's it. We lost him, dude. We lost him, dude.
What do you mean?
In a trance.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine, dude.
Okay, because Mark was acting like he couldn't hear me.
It's called a mind game, dude.
No, Joe said that he couldn't hear you because once you start eating, you get into that euphoric trance.
Oh. Okay. No, I'm fine. No, that's good. I mean, at least for a good little over half hour, I'm fine. So yeah, let's do this thing, man. So Hellraiser, I'm down.
Well, before we get into that, dude, we gotta talk about, this is the
Oh God.
You know what's so funny is when you ask Chris, when you tell Chris something that he knows true, he goes, "Oh, okay, well, okay." You notice that, Mark?
I'm a piece of shit. Yep.
Oh, okay.
I notice everything. I notice everything about him.
I'm a piece of shit. All right, dude. All right. It's hilarious, dude. So it's funny. Before we get into the movie, of course, we got to get into the news of the week with all our podcasts, because that's what people tune in. They're not here to listen to reviews about fucking movies that are on there. Everyone's got their opinion of it, Daddy. And first and foremost, Mark told me about this film because there's like these pillars of horror movies that like kind of not change it, but kind of like they're totally different than what was there before. And like there's Psycho, and then there's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then there's Halloween. Right? And then there's fucking Nightmare on Elm Street, The Evil Dead, Hellraiser. It's one of those films, right? And then you got the Christopher J story. It completely turns everything on its head. You've never seen it before, dude. You've never seen it before. Mark, do you have a few questions? Go ahead, dude.
Can I get clarity on something for it? So, had you seen this movie prior to meeting Mark?
Hellraiser? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Because you said that he had told you about it. I misunderstanding the context of it. So.
No, well, I mean, before we dive on into it, I've always known about Hellraiser the same way I knew about The Evil Dead. Is like there were certain movie covers that I would see as a kid, and you're just like, oh hell no, I'm not gonna watch that. And it was Hellraiser and The Evil Dead. And like when you see the cover and he's holding the box and you see the chains everywhere, and if you look, like you can just Google it. If you look on the back of Hellraiser cover, you'll see where Frank is all like this like bloody skin and shit like that. And so I'm like, fuck no. No. As a little kid,
I tell you.
Go ahead, dude. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, with me, my first acquaintance of any kind at all with Hellraiser was Hellraiser 2, and the reason was because I don't know if you remember this. Remember that channel? I don't remember what channel number it was, but it was, I think it might have been 14 or some shit. It was First Choice Pay-Per-View, and it was back when you would buy pay-per-views through your cable carrier. And this was like a channel that was just nothing but advertisements for movies you could order on demand and boxing events you could order on demand.
Mm-hmm.
And I would sometimes I'd be at my grandmother's house, like whatever, and I would just, honestly, if there's nothing on, I would just sit there and watch that because like I wouldn't know about these kind of movies without that channel showing the previews and shit. So I remember seeing Hellraiser 2 and fucking Pinhead with all the fucking needles. I was like, man, that dude looks scary. Now, of course, we'll get into that later, but that's how I got acquainted with it.
Oh, so, and Mark, what about you, dude?
Man, I must have seen it. Fuck, it's got to be, 20 25 years ago, whatever the fuck it was. I mean, maybe the first or second year it came out. Crap, you know. My uncles like watching that kind of stuff. They laughed at it.
Mhm.
So when you look back at it now, you're like, man, I can see why they really laughed at it. It's so cheesy, dude.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, when you told me about it, so Chris ain't off the hook that easy, but we're giving you the introductions to how
I know that.
he thinks
I know that.
He
dude.
thinks,
Like,
do you
I'm off hook.
do you
I'm
remember
off hook.
do you remember that channel and scratching your
No,
balls?
that's
Hold
No,
on.
that's not why I brought that up, brother, because that's how I saw it.
Okay, all right, dude. Yeah, I'm this.
You know he doesn't get off the hook with me, dude. You know that.
He's about to
Bring
get that
Hey,
clothesline. He's about to get that clothesline from out of nowhere.
You fucking bring it, Mark. I'm right here, asshole. You bring it.
So.
No problem. You don't have to tell me to bring it, son.
Oh, you know what? This is gonna be an over-ass podcast. I'm gonna get nothing but comments tomorrow about how Chris was overselling. He's a tough guy this week, dude. But it's pretty good. So, God, you made me lose completely my train of thought, Chris, because you finally weren't a coward. I go, oh, okay, all right. So, Hellraiser, like I said, Mark was telling me about it, and like I always kind of grew up with this. Wow, it's one of the most brutal movies and this and that, right? And then Mark goes, I don't want to do that piece of shit. And why didn't you want to do that piece of shit, Mark? What did you tell me about Hellraiser?
It just, even as a little boy, dude, I was like, man, this kind of weird, kind of homosexual, Chester Cheetah cheesy shit, dude. It just seemed weird, dude. Like, how can, what year did the movie come out in?
87.
So let's say I saw it when I was 9, dude. Let's just say I saw it 2 years later, dude. Just see that, dude. Let's say I saw it as a 9-year-old boy, dude. As a 9-year-old boy, you're looking at it, this is strange. Like, this is why is a, I guess, undead person fucking a woman, or why does a woman want to kiss an undead person with all his skin missing? Like, what am I not seeing? Am I the only one that's saying here?
Yeah.
That's kind of shit like that. I was like confused and just thinking like, oh, that's why my uncles are laughing at it, because it's stupid.
But where do you get homosexual from? I mean, I watched this movie and like and maybe I'm just completely,
You see what he's doing, Mark? You see what
We
he's doing?
are.
No. But I'm saying I didn't see anything. I didn't see any gay activity going on between two men or two women or whatever. Like, where do you get that from?
Do you not see what those Cenobites, whatever those things, Cenobuns, whatever those things are called, what the fuck they're dressed in?
Yep. That's exactly when you started telling me when Mark started telling me that, dude. When he said that, I'm just like, oh, whatever. But I always take what he says into consideration because he's right about 90% of the time, right? So I'm like, okay, all right, let me watch it again. And then I just like, like anything else, it's like if one of your friends was telling you, hey, dude, if your lady friend doesn't want you to stop by her house, and drop off food unannounced, there's probably a reason. And you're just like, oh, shut up, Mark. Shut up, Joe. And then, you do another pass by, dude, and you see a fucking Range Rover there, and you're, let's just say there's someone getting more over than you, anyway. But you're just like, oh, whatever. And I took that into consideration. He's saying that, and I'm watching the film, and I'm like, you know what? These fucking, like he said, these Cenobites are dressed like a bunch of, like that S&M gimmick shit, dude. That is it sadomasochist or what's the fucking gimmick? Yeah, like they're into, and then
Rob Halford.
Yeah, and then he says that, and then I start thinking, well, Clive Barker, the director, he wrote a book about it, The Hellbound Heart. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit later. But he's a gay guy, and then and then before any of that, they have all these sayings in the film. But then he tells me, you don't know, it's kind of gay, it seems like a gay movie. And then I start seeing how the Cenobites are there, and they're all like kind of tortured, and then pain is pleasure, and there is no limits. And I start thinking to myself, well, this is like 87. I'm like, being gay wasn't really that out there, or 2019 now, But I'm sure for him growing up, it was like this radical thing that there is no limits. And go ahead, dude.
No, and well, remember, I'm watching with my uncles, and my uncles aren't like the brightest motherfuckers on the planet, but they got a lot of common sense, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's hard to grasp, Chris. Have a ton of common sense, but so when I hear him making comments like, "Oh, that's those guys look like fags,
Mm-hmm.
those guys look like queers or whatever," I'm like, "Well, why are they like that?" And then I watch Police Academy, and you see the Blue Oyster scene, and you're like, "Oh, okay, it makes sense now. Everybody's dressed in black and leather and dog collars and shit." Like, "Oh, I get it, dude."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's easy to put the two together. So if somebody's brainless, right? They don't see any homosexuality at all coming through this film at all, dude. There's just a couple of guys,
Dressed in leather.
torturing. Yeah, dressed in leather, torturing people. Yeah, no problem, dude. No big deal. I don't really see anything queer about it.
Yeah, and then
But Jesse dancing on Freddy too. Oh, he's queer. He's queer. All right. He likes the butt cheek spread, dude.
yeah.
But
No, I mean, I guess from that perspective, the hell bent for leather kind of thing, and the S&M kind of like on dodgeball, like when they get the wrong outfits for the first round of the tournament.
Yeah. You're like, no, it's not gay at all, dude. No, what's the problem? That's perfectly normal. Well, we'll see with that, and then even like in the book, I guess I'll bring some of that shit up now. Like he writes about how the Cenobites, who are like these 4 demons or whatever you want to call them, angels to some or demons to some, angels to other, like they're supposed to be genderless in the book, and like you're not supposed to tell if it's so that's the thing. That's the thing is that there's no male or female. You just fuck everyone. That's what I got from it, is that there's no limits, there's no boy or girl. You just dress up and you torture each other, and and even with the character Frank, that's his whole thing, is that he's so into sex that sex with women is not enough, that he needs to go beyond that, and so what are the pleasures beyond life and the earthly, and it's just like, man, this movie is super gay.
That part I can kind of relate to, dude. I can kind of relate to that part.
You're like, what's left?
Stuff.
What's left, dude? What's left out there, right?
Yeah, like what hasn't a girl done to me, or what haven't I done to a girl? I mean, what?
Yeah.
What is there to do?
It's like for Chris, he's tried every burger out there. It's just like, I don't even want burgers anymore. I've had them all, right? The same thing.
Well, I still want them, but I have had them all.
I feel the same way. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I've had them all, but I still want them. But Chris is evolved, dude. He gets tired of that, so that's why he's on this fish fillet run right now, dude.
Hey, you got another thing.
Fish fillets.
You got another thing. I've had every kind of blizzard there is, and every imitation blizzard from the competitors too.
I know. You start naming ice cream brands like I'm supposed to know what the fuck you're talking about. Oh, well, there's this one and there's that one. Like a connoisseur of ice cream. I'm like, fuck, dude, I just know Bluebell and what Haagen-Dazs and maybe one other one, and you're over here like, the one that's really good for this flavor, this brand. I'm like, man, this fucking guy, he's like taking this shit serious. He should be writing articles, that people look for when they're asking for what's the best ice cream and shit. But
I put that little picture or video. I forgot what it was, that ice cream on Sunday, and he knew exactly what it was, dude. The bread and all that shit.
Oh yeah.
Like, man, that's when you know. That's when you know somebody has an easy life, dude. They can just
Class A piece of shit.
Yeah, they can pinpoint sweets, dude. They can pinpoint sweets.
Sooner or later, I'll have a column in Good Housekeeping.
Yeah, that's a bunch of shit.
Oh yeah, because you know how to keep a house. Yeah.
No, but it would be the ice cream connoisseur section,
And which picture would you use? The one where you're there with a certain lady friend on Thanksgiving, or would it be the one where you're texting and your eyes are in the air, flipped up, like?
The one texting
Or the
my eyes.
one on the couch.
Oh, that's the best
dude,
one, dude.
To the side of
With the little bio there, Christopher J's a ice cream connoisseur. Every Saturday he goes out with his mother to the marble slab.
We don't go to. I wish we did, but
we don't go to marble slab. You're lying.
We don't even get ice cream
Chris's
every
mom-
Saturday.
I know you don't get ice cream
If
every
it's
Saturday.
good-
It's just funny.
If the ice cream's good, Chris's mom pays. If it's bad, then he makes his dad pay, dude.
Hello, this one has fire as well.
Hey, listen, I've had enough here with you maniacs. I want
A
to.
little bit about Hellraiser. We let you know what how we got it or how we know about the film and all this and that. But I think Mark has a few questions for Chris, because this is what everyone tunes in for before we start trashing, or before I start trashing Hellraiser. Mark, do you have any questions for Chris about this extraordinary week or weekend since Wednesday last week, dude?
I might have one or two.
Let's hear it, dude. I know Chris
Is
said
that-
I know
is that
Chris said
okay,
bring
Chris?
it. I know Chris said bring it, dude. So he's all up for it.
Is that okay, Chris? Can I bring it? Hello?
All of a sudden, dude,
Hi.
Big Balls Karam left the chat, dude.
I'm here.
No, I guess he doesn't have to say anything. It's understood that I need to just bring it, dude.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's what he's saying.
So go ahead, dude. I can't wait. I wanna jump into this too, dude. Give me the hot tag whenever you're ready.
Before we do the Hellraiser review, let's do a Chris's Hellraiser, dude. So,
Not that
Nostalgia,
I think all three of us on this can relate to having a Hellraiser around. Am I right?
Oh, for damn sure. But there's a little
yeah.
bit more other. Yours
Me
is
and
more
Joe-
over because
me and Joe, me and Joe don't stick our heads in the fucking sand, dude.
Yeah.
So, not happening, even though it's complete chaos going on around us.
Can you imagine, Chris, if I did that routine? Like, nope. Imagine that. Imagine that, Chris. All the shit I did, what you did. Nope. No, dude. Nah, dude. All the excuses in the world. Nah, dude. Nope. I'm not gonna go. Okay, just imagine that. But go ahead, Mark.
All the denying,
Yeah.
all the denying, and all the excuses.
Imagine if I did that. How dumb I would look. Think about it. If I went that route, how dumb would I look? Anyway, I look dumb anyway right now. But just go ahead.
So, real dumb, but So let's do it in like relation to the movie, dude.
All right.
Let's pretend Chris was, I don't know, Frank, dude, right?
Mhm.
But and what's the that Jezebel's name again? Oh man, was it
Julia?
Christy, what's her name? I forget.
Julia.
Dude, yeah. I say Frank's seen Chris is Frank because he's like the back door man. Right? Let's just say you were the back door man, Chris. But Julia has, what's the husband's name?
Larry.
Larry.
Mhm.
Julia's really interested in Larry, but she sees Frank on the side, dude, right? That's what's going on? Isn't that what's going on in the movie?
Yeah.
Hello?
Well, he kind of strong arms his way in though, like, and then eventually just capitulates, and then through that capitulation, over time, falls in love with him.
It happens
So,
like in one
he's the back
session.
door-
Yeah.
He's the back door man either way, right? Right?
He's also a lowlife. He was like been to jail and all kinds of trouble and shit. Left that fucking place in just complete disarray. He's terrible. Remember in the opening scene, Larry says, she goes, "Isn't half of it your brother's?" And then he says, "I've never known him to kick cash out of bed. Besides, he's probably behind bars anyway."
So he's the backdoor man. He's a lowlife that can't keep an apartment clean, dude.
Mhm.
I mean, I see parallel, dude. I don't know about you, Chris, but I see parallel. So let's say, what's her name again? Julia.
Julia.
Julia Gulia. Yeah.
Julia. She only sees Frank when it's convenient for her, dude. Do you think
Mhm.
that's fair to Frank or what?
Very frank. Her and Larry are married. What the fuck?
You're making my case, genius. So is it fair to Frank? Is it fair to Frank?
He's the one that came. He's the one that forced his way onto her. He's an asshole. He's a piece of shit lowlife.
All she can do is say no, and no, I'm dedicated to my man.
They're both guilty, and I agree with you. They're both guilty, but I'm saying, like, why do you feel sorry for Frank?
because Frank thinks that he's gonna end up with her no matter what he does.
Oh God, that's your
He's
brother's
gonna-
wife. What are you thinking?
He's
Seriously,
gonna
come
kill
on.
her. He kills her. He's a lunatic. Chris is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Chris, so are you okay with what's going on, Chris? That's what I'm trying to get to. Is everything fine, dude?
I'm
Frank's fine
telling
with
you. I'm telling you, I believe in traditional marriage between a man and a woman committing to each other and that kind of thing. So this asshole lowlife Frank, who's coming on to his own brother's wife. It's like, what the fuck?
So then you don't agree with being the backdoor man? Yes or
I
no?
suppose I don't.
So then why are you doing it?
Ooh, shit. So
What do you
anyway,
mean? Ha ha ha.
right?
What do you mean,
Exactly.
ha ha ha. What's that mean?
Exactly.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? That's
Okay,
that's
anyway.
We all know
Anyway,
I'm a
go on.
backdoor man.
Go on.
Even though
Go on.
I'm the backdoor man.
Go on.
I'm the
Go
back-
on. Go on. Go on. Go on.
That's what
Go
Chris
on.
does. That's what Chris does at his house whenever
Yeah.
he gets texts from us
Yeah.
asking him about it. And, bullshit, I'm not checking my phone. He's just singing to himself and
Yeah.
shit.
Remember
No,
on the fucking
Chris.
Cobra Kai podcast, not in that context, not in that context, not in that context.
Is that how you
No, I
deal with
don't.
bullshit, Chris? Is it if I start singing and
Yeah.
talking louder than everyone, it doesn't happen? Like imagine me after I show up after midnight, dude, and I'm just like, oh, it didn't happen, driving all the way home and just like, all right, dude, I'm never gonna show up like that again. What gutless piece of shit would I look like right now, Chris?
So everybody knows I'm the backdoor man. Everybody knows that.
Everyone knows that, yeah.
Everybody, yeah. But even though I'm the backdoor man, I'm actually the actual man, dude. That's
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
I'm the actual man. I embrace and say, okay, this person wants to be with me, and I know they want to be with me. He constantly tells me, but if she was just hiding and ignoring me and only seeing me every once in a while, then I would know that I'm the complete piece of shit, dude, that I'm just there for her convenience, dude,
Hey, Chris, how many times has Nancy brought you breakfast?
Oh!
dude?
Oh! Why are you
Nancy.
mentioning names?
What happened?
Nancy from fucking Nightmare on Elm Street. What are you freaking out for?
Oh, her? Well, I mean, never met her, so can't
I
say
know.
she's ever brought breakfast.
I know, but if she, if y'all were in a relationship, dude, and this girl
I
named
mean, that's
named Tina was, how many times has this make-believe girlfriend that you have, that you've been with for a make-believe 8 years, brought you breakfast? Well,
so not brought it to me, but she did pay for it one time.
Yeah, no,
that I can
not pay for it. You're at home. She drives by to your place just to drop you off breakfast and maybe give you a little something on the side. You know what I'm saying?
I've never had any woman ever do that. Any of them. So. Yeah.
But how many? But
At
how?
the
But
closest-
I'm doing Christopher J. field goal post right now. How many women have you been with for 8 years? That's the thing.
8 years, none. But at
okay.
the same time, I think
Alright.
the closest I ever came to that was, I remember what was her name?
See, he's
What was
trying
her
to get us off course here.
And she
Oh, he's
at
not
work
gonna- he's not gonna do
twice. No, she worked. Kiss my ass. She worked twice. Brought me a couple times of potato and egg tacos. One time was like a chocolate chip muffin. I remember that.
You're like, this is the one.
And,
This is the one. That's what Chris
No,
said.
I mean I'd never really had a woman do that, so that was pretty cool.
Okay.
But then, yeah. Anyway, so.
And Mark, and how
Okay,
many?
you're making a quote. Hold on, dude. I'll answer your question right now. Go ahead, dude. Ask me the question. Then I'll
How
just-
many times have you had a woman do that to you this year, the past 3 months, dude?
58 trillion.
One or two.
One or
Let's
two,
put it
right?
Like that.
Right?
Yeah,
we can't
one
give
or
us
two.
we can't give a specific number.
Yeah,
58
there's no
trillion,
need
I
to.
think
I mean,
that's about right.
y'all,
I know,
y'all both
dude.
know.
Yeah, but you've had
Y'all
it.
both know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
this.
it's I get up, I get the phone call. Hey, I left the house early just to see you. Can I bring you something to eat? And then
Yeah.
you can have a little something after that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Whatever
But-
you want to bring.
But
the whole point. The whole point is that they do it
Yeah.
If they don't do that or go out of their way, and it's really not going out of their way like big time,
Yeah.
they're doing something nice to let you know that they're thinking about you.
Yeah.
If they don't do that, then they're really not thinking about you. They really don't want to be with you.
Yep.
All right.
That's it. Yeah.
That's
All
it?
right.
All
All
right.
right. All right. Well, you make a good point, dude. I ain't gonna change shit for me. Unreal.
You're
Dude.
fine. You're fine.
You win.
You're fine with the whole
You win.
What do I win? What do I win? I'm not winning anything.
You're better
I'm not
than me.
winning anything.
You're better than me, Mark.
How am I
Piece of
better
shit.
than you? I don't know why. No.
Okay.
The thing is that all of us should be enjoying similar stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
But you just keep staying. You keep staying in that situation.
Okay.
You keep
Hellraiser.
staying in that situation. You keep staying in that situation. You keep staying in that situation.
You keep saying that
how stupid that sounds?
situation.
That's stupid.
It is, dude. No, you know, we'll end the night off with some more Chris talk, but we'll get into the movie.
No,
Yeah.
Get out the way now. Get it done now.
No,
What do you have to say?
we'll sprinkle it in with the Hellraiser review, and then we'll end it with it anyway. So Hellraiser released on September 10th, 1987. Dude, the movie's about 93 minutes long, and about 93 minutes too long, daddy. And it was made on a budget of about $1 million, and the box office made about $14 million. I said before, it was directed by Clive Barker. The screenplay's by Clive Barker. It's based on the novella, The Hellbound Heart, which I tried to listen to today, and it was hilarious. In fact, I was going to tell y'all. Well, I was going to tell y'all, but I forgot about it till right now. I was taking a shower, and I was playing this just in the restroom. You know, I listened to podcasts, and I was like, let me listen to this fucking audiobook while I take a shower. You know, ain't nothing else to do, right? So I'm there, and then my wife walks into the restroom, you know, and she's like, are you listening to church or to some kind of church or something like that? I'm like, and I started laughing, and she's like, why are you laughing? I'm like, it's the Hellbound Heart. It's the book that's based off of Hellraiser, and I had no idea, because like I said, I'm listening to it, and she didn't hear this part, but like they refer, because I was just reading, of course, IMDb and all this other shit, and Clive Barker was kind of referring to Pinhead, who's the main guy with the pins in his head for you dumb motherfuckers, as the priest. He was like, he didn't want to call him Pinhead, he wanted to call him the priest, and I was kind of like thinking, like, the priest, like if he's a preacher or something, I was like, whatever. But it's funny that she walked in, she's like, are you listening to some kind of church or something? She was like confused, and then like, of course she comes in, and like it's all like ridiculous, like the wording for this like sexual encounter as Frank's opening the box, and as he was standing there, with cum dripping on the floor as he opened the box, and I'm like, what the fuck, honey? What the fuck is this? I'm like, is this supposed to be scary? It's fucking weird, dude. It sounds like a typical, Friday night at the old Christopher J's house when an old lady friend comes over, dude.
But to speak, and this is why I was bringing this up before, like I think a couple nights ago, that speaks to the differences, entertainment culture, literary, whatever, of Britain versus the U.S., like stylistics, and what gets over with an audience there versus what gets over with an audience here is two very different things. You can ask comedians, you can ask movie producers, you can ask anybody that's in any kind of entertainment or writing or whatever. The British audience, it's a different kind of humor, it's a different kind of storytelling, all that.
So I got a question. After what you
I'm a
said,
loser.
Okay, but Joe, I got a question for you.
All right, dude.
So you're in the shower listening to the what's it called? The book?
The audio book, yeah. For the
The audio
Hellbound.
book of what?
For Hellraiser, but it's
Hellbound,
the
okay.
Hellbound Heart, yeah.
Okay, you're taking a shower, I'm assuming,
That's right,
or a
dude.
bubble bath.
The shower, dude. I'm a man.
So you're taking a shower. Hey, what's wrong with the bubble bath, dude?
Well, I
Where
don't.
can you see my fucking bath?
I
My
know.
tub in my house, dude.
Well, if I had a tub like that, dude,
you
of
see
course, dude, it'd be a night. I'd be,
Fucking leg hanging out.
yeah.
Leg hanging out with with like a little platform going across, so I can have my iPad and my phone, and then a fucking bottle of wine and some candles, dude.
And a gimmick
Fucking
cigar, dude, just to get
lavish-
yourself more over.
Yeah, lavish life, dude. You know, doing that. So you're taking a bubble bath, right? And in walks your wife. She asks you questions. Now, is she on the toilet when she's doing this, dude, or
Oh,
No.
what's she doing in there?
No, she was just in the hallway because the hallway's connected, or the sink area because it's
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
she was there. She was like putting on makeup or something because we were gonna leave somewhere. And yeah, she just opens the door. She pokes her head in. And she's like, she asks, "You listen to whatever summons or whatever the fuck you call it?" And I'm like, "No, it's." I was kind of like laughing because she was kind of like looking at me like I was weird, dude. Like I was just like, I'm like trying to get all these what's going on in this book opposed to the film because I had heard the book before, and it's always cool when the director, the person that writes the book is actually narrating it because they're able to do those working ass voices. Like, you know how like Pinhead's supposed to sound in the film like, "We'll tear your soul apart," all that bullshit. Well, it's funny when Clive Barker's doing the Cenobites voices because they're all the same. It's like, "Are you not there? Can you?" I'm like, what kind of fucking voice is this shit, dude? He's a horrible worker, dude. Horrible worker.
I know. I know.
But yeah, that's what she was
So
doing.
Chris, why are you a loser? Because I was asking Joe a question.
Okay, go on.
You're the one that said it. You just came out of nowhere. I'm a loser. I'm like, okay.
Don't know what that's doing, but
Joe
okay.
in the shower.
Yeah.
Joe scrubbing his fucking back, scrubbing his back have to do with you being a loser? What?
That's great. Okay.
That's great. That's great. That's great. I sound like a fucking idiot.
Oh my god. So, what this film's about, because we're not going to go too much scene by scene because there's like a whole lot of nothing that happens, but of course Chris will get us over. But basically what happens is this guy Frank, he's trying to look to see what more pleasures they are other than on this earth, so he seeks out this box. It's the Lament configuration, and he opens it. And the film starts off, it's kind of like a flashback, and it doesn't really explain much, but they take him, the Cenobites do, which are like from another dimension. And his brother, Larry, gets the home that Frank was at with his wife, Julia, who they also had like a previous encounter, and she's all in love with Frank because he dicked her down right, and that's it, dude. She's going to leave her husband for him and everything, dude. Stop me if you've heard this one, Chris. And
I'll tell you, well, no, and I mean, and on top of that beginning, so the beginning of the movie is they're moving to this fucking antiquated house. It's one of those neighborhoods.
Well, Chris, we're going to get into detail. I'm just giving the quick synopsis. That's how you give a quick synopsis. You don't go into, the fucking nails sticking out about 6 goddamn inches. We're not doing all that yet.
No. I wasn't going to, but I thought we were going scene by scene. I didn't realize you were doing summaries. So.
Yeah, no, we are. We're going to go scene by scene, but we're just doing summary. So, there's a, what's his name? If you fucked me up now. Larry ends up getting cut. The blood that he...
Laurence?
Yeah. The blood that he loses brings back Frank from the fucking floorboards. Then Julia, because she's so in love with this motherfucker, starts giving him bodies. He starts getting more and more, reanimated. The Cenobites, they want Frank back. Larry's daughter, Kirsty, kind of finds out she's in the middle of all this, what's going on, and she's trying to stop Julia, from killing these people. And then Larry ends up getting fucking overtaken by Frank. The Cenobites find out that, this and that or whatever. It gets over. And that's basically what you're watching with Hellraiser. There's not too much going on. It's not like a Nightmare on Elm Street where you're getting all these crazy cool kinds of deaths. It's just basically a hammer and some hooks and chains, dude. But, let's start off from the beginning, Chris. You've never seen Hellraiser before. And did you think that David Lopan was selling Frank that fucking puzzle box? It's yours, Mr. Button. It's always has been.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And then,
Huh?
Pretty nice.
Huh?
I know it's. I know it's.
Chris has no
he said
clue.
that-
Chris has no clue what you're talking about, dude.
Huh?
No, I do. I saw that scene, but it's like, and it was peculiar, and he said, and it always has been. I was like, that kind of raised the antenna there.
Huh?
But and what the fuck kind of accent is that if they're in a bazaar in Morocco? But anyway,
Yeah, right.
And
What's the
it's-
Asian man? But the Asian man's dubbing is so horrible, his lips are hardly moving.
right? Good call. So I mean, and then I mean, you see him over time, getting that rectangle of fucking candles and shit, and then it's like one of these dumbasses fucking around with evil spirits and the occult. It gets the better of you, because you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and you're getting into dabbing and evil shit. But anyway, so do I go now to when they get to the mother's house?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh,
Frank gets torn apart, dude, because he wants that puzzle box. And the book, he knows what it brings him. He's there for the fucking book. When, of course, getting it over like a son of a bitch. It was supposed to be called, or the movie was supposed to be called, Sadomasochist from Beyond the Fucking Grave.
The fuck? And oh, good.
No, but isn't that fucking ridiculous, dude?
Yes, that's very fucking bizarre. But in any case, in any event, nonetheless, so Larry and his wife Julia, and it takes forever for them to say both of their names. Like, if Julia's name comes out a little earlier, and then you finally hear the name Larry, and then of course it takes even another million years to hear his last name. That's one thing. A lot of these horror movies, it's like they don't do the best job in the first half hour of introducing characters, and this is yet another one of those examples of that. But anyway. They get to what's, I suppose, from what I heard in the dialogue, the deceased mother's house.
Yeah.
And he's going to move in there. And I think it's probably, given the fact he says, oh, come on, Julia, I have a great job, and we can make it and all this stuff. I think that's probably a neighborhood that's going through some late 80s gentrification. And, she even says, I guess it's better than living in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
So they're going to start, she finally sells her on living there. And they start moving their shit in. These low-life fucking movers hit on the fucking guy's daughter right in front of us. Like, who the fuck does that? Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so and of course the house is completely fucked up. There's fucking worms crawling everywhere and shit.
That shit's so
And,
fucking ridiculous and gross, dude. They're fucking.
Ah.
They walk into the kitchen, looks like Nightmare on Carom Street all over again, dude. I'm like, dude, fucking. It's a funny story, dude. I don't think I've ever told y'all before, but it was I was dating this one chick way back when, and I had got tacos in the morning, like after work or whatever, and I had just left them in like by the bed like little cupboard, like if there's like a little place where you can put like books or whatever by the headboard. And I had I had like a barbacoa, I think it was, and I just left it there, because I was like, I got like 4 tacos or whatever. I left one. I didn't eat that one, so I left it there. And then I come back like a week later, and I don't know if I smelled something or I just checked or whatever. But I'm like, what the fuck, And I remember opening it and see nothing but maggots covering that fucking taco. I was like, oh my god, you've been laying here and fucking maggots over your fucking head, you fuck. And I was like, so whenever I see maggots, whenever I see maggots, I think about that, dude. So. Chris, clean your fucking kitchen, dude.
Oh.
Yeah, no, trust me. I'm always doing the fucking Clorox wipes and shit. But the thing too, I am. But the thing too, you have to at least a couple times a week. But thing is, so that place fucked up. I mean, that's kind of the person that's just lost in life. And that's fucking Frank. I mean, he's probably who knows what else he's doing besides the occult. But anyway, beer cans everywhere, cigarette butts, the fucking maggots, worms, roaches, all that shit. And then you go upstairs, it's really not a lot better. And I found it peculiar that they closed off with bricks the chimney. Did you notice that, Mark?
I think much of it, but I think it's a bad move.
I agree. But so they're going to basically be the upper income couple that's going to gentrify at least this house, if not the neighborhood. But anyway,
you notice, Mark, how Chris always categorizes everyone through with money.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit, dude. That's all he's worried about. He's always worried about everybody else's money, dude.
It's not even money per se. So. A class that always hit home pretty hard for me and kind of connected with me early on in college was sociology. And with sociology, you learn to look at people in terms of collective behavior and in terms of groups that can engage in a collective behavior. So it's pretty interesting. But anyway, so then lo and behold, so here's where it gets interesting, is she brings up the brother. So you've not seen him other than, when he gets lost and getting torn apart, like the hooks coming on him and shit. You see him there, but you don't really make the connection that that's him. So, well, isn't half the house your brothers, because the mom's gone and everything, and it's the will and all that shit. Yeah. So he's all, oh, well, gosh, I've never known him to kick cash out of bed. Besides, he's probably locked in bars. Like, he really doesn't give a damn because he thinks he's a lowlife, and he is. But it's like, he's like, I'll just pay him off. Fuck him.
Yeah, basically what he says. Yeah, and then like you said, the movers go in there, and like, it's a completely different time because I was trying to watch it and I was kind of skimming through it earlier. It's a piece of shit movie, but the movers are there. They're like, you got anything to drink? And then Julia's like, there's beer in the fridge. I'm like, how many movers are you gonna just offer beer to, dude? Like, and they haven't even got like shit in the fucking house. You want a beer, dude? You haven't done shit yet,
I know. They still. Why do you want to start drinking beer when you still got to get that fucking heavy ass mattress up 3 turns of stairs?
Yeah, 3. Yeah,
let me answer that. Let me answer that for you. Okay, the movers are obviously lowlifes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? They look like lowlifes, right?
They got their mother's looks. Their mother's dead.
So what the fuck would you offer a lowlife, dude? You offer him a beer. That's what lowlifes do, dude.
Yeah.
Well, would you offer them, oh, let me give you some Evian water? No, they're pieces of shit.
Yeah.
What would you offer them? If you look in a person's fridge and you see a bunch of beer, I should tell you right there, dude. I should tell you right there what they are.
Oh, speaking of which, for Mania, I got 2 Bud Ices for you.
Oh, fuck, dude. I'll make sure I kneel down next time I see you.
Yeah, you do that.
So, yeah, they're moving that bullshit, and then Larry, in the book, his name's, I think, Rory, and he ends up cutting his hand against a nail. And while this is going on, Julia's on the 3rd floor, and she starts reminiscing about her, her, like, 1 or 2 encounters with Frank, and, Frank just basically put himself on her, and she's like, oh, it was like a week before the wedding with Larry, and she's just, like, falls completely in love with him, dude. She has the 10 orgasms and all that bullshit, right? And so she's just like thinking about that. Yeah, it's typical sex, dude. And Larry walks in with his hand bleeding across the fucking floorboards, and like she's like all like so in thought. She like doesn't even say, "Oh, are you okay?" She's just like stares there for a little bit, and then she's like, "Oh, is it deep or whatever?" And then she doesn't mean he's gonna need stitches, all this bullshit. But that's when we had that reanimation scene of Frank with the blood, kind of brings him back from where he had originally had that ritual, and it's pretty crazy, man. They got like the back, what's that shit called, the backbones, the fucking like plug into the brain and all that bullshit, and it rises up and it's sliming. And the way they actually did that was they had it reversed, so they had to like melt away, and then they played it in reverse, so it's like it's coming together. So pretty kick-ass. So when you were like, 11 years old, Mark, dude, and you saw that, you didn't take that as a threat or anything. You're just like, oh, typical brain coming together kind of gimmick-ass scene, dude. No big deal.
That's it, dude. Nothing strange, nothing unusual.
Yeah. Well, you saw Evil Dead too, so it was kind of like, it's pretty good.
Again, dude, as a little boy, I wasn't like terrified of it, dude. Like, how can I be terrified of Freddy Krueger, dude, but not be terrified of these fucking... They look more like aliens than they do fucking...
demons or whatever.
Yeah, dude, whatever the fuck they're supposed to drag you to hell, whatever they're doing, dude. And I just... It never caught my attention, dude. It never, quote-unquote, got in my head, dude. There's not too many movies I can think of that would get in my head, especially now. Not terrified of ghost shit.
So, Chris, when you first saw that reanimation scene, dude, did you freak out or like, wow, that's pretty crazy looking when the body of Frank's coming back together?
No, I mean, so initially I just kind of found it gross, like the early stages. I find it weird and gross, but then like once it becomes like you see the rib cage and the spinal cord and all that stuff and the brainstem and all that coming together.
Yeah, the brainstem.
Yeah, and then it makes sense, and you're like, oh, okay, so it's a person coming back to life who was, I guess, whatever elements they had gotten reduced to. So that was interesting, and like, okay, so what? And then it took me a while to realize it was Frank, and all that. I will say, as far as the Cenobites go, I used to work at Cinnabon, and saying that makes me think of that fucking place. And anyway, so. Seeing the Cenobites, though, yeah, just give the small commentary for whatever it's worth. I expected them to be more menacing.
Yeah.
Like, I expected them to have more of a meanness to it, especially with when you have a movie called Hellraiser. And again, when you have this guy Pinhead, who looks like I would always see pictures of when I was a kid, and then memes on Facebook and shit, and you see this dude, and you're thinking, man, you're like, this must be one mean motherfucker. Yeah, he's probably got this crazy evil. You're thinking
he's probably got a sandwich in the back of his trunk. That's what you're thinking for sure, right?
Yep.
And a pepper spray gun, exactly.
Yeah, carries around a revolver, dude. All that shit.
But then he sounds more like Dave Chappelle's imitation of Prince. It's like, seriously, like all this look and all this. Right, it's just like assemble your crew of flunkies. I'll be outside with the revolution. It's like, what the fuck? So, and then like, yeah, and then they're just there, and he's not emanating an energy. He doesn't have the Magneto cape flowing in the background. He's not. They don't actually go to hell. They go to this other dimension of like torture and whatever the fuck. It's like I just
Right. Ah?
Gilbert's perusing your channel right now, dude. For the record.
What the fucking podcast channel?
Your YouTube channel, yeah.
It's all right. It's pretty good.
He screenshotted a picture of Chris and he started laughing.
What were you saying, Chris? That they look great, but
they look like they look like the kind of fucking villains you would want to have in a supernatural horror kind of freak out kind of film like this. But they're not menacing. They don't emanate or radiate an energy. They don't. Like, I think the voice for the one with the semicircle coming out of his chin, that one is fine, voice-wise. But then, like, Pinhead should be just this fucking frightening motherfucker, and he just seems like a regular dude with pins in his head.
Well, the one you're talking about, that's supposed to be a chick. Well, it's a chick, but they're not supposed to have any gender. But yeah, it's like basically what they're titled as is the lead Cenobite, which is played by Doug Bradley, who's the Pinhead, the one with the pins in him. And then they have the Chatterer Cenobite, which is the one that's just like the whole time, which is probably my favorite one. I've always thought he was way cooler than Pinhead, dude, because he's got no eyes and he's just fucking chattering away, dude. And then there's Butterball, the fat piece of shit with the sunglasses. Sounds like someone I know. And then there's the female Cenobite, the one that's bald, and she has that gimmick shit, like you had said, coming out of her, was it her neck? So yeah, those are the four Cenobites in this one, and to me, Pinhead, he looks pretty cool. He's got the pins in the head, but the other ones look a little bit more fucked up, dude. It looks like they had a harder time in the past 8 years than me. Dude. Let's just say that,
And they should have.
Yeah. So yeah, and they do look pretty badass. I mean, like you said, like they look pretty badass, but they're not really in the film. You know what I mean? Like they're like they when the film starts
they don't
off.
Build them up.
Yeah. It's just.
They don't build them up, dude.
Yeah, Frank is just there. He opens the box. It gets torn apart. We see Pinhead like putting together like the face, and that's it. We don't see him for. I mean, I don't know the exact time, but it feels like at least 50 minutes. It feels like it's been at least 50 minutes before any other shit comes out with them. And we go through the whole movie, and Julius is feeding Frank a bunch of bodies. She's whoring herself out. They're bringing dudes over and is hitting them over the head with the hammer. And Frank's getting them over, and then Ashley Laurence, who's Kirsty Cotton, or Kirsty, she sees it and she starts like spying on her, and she sees that Uncle Frank, it's me, Uncle Frank, is like all crazy looking, where he's got all the flesh out. And there's two different actors playing Frank. There's the one where he's normal, right? And that's his voice. And then there's like a body double for where it's all blood and guts, Frank, but they're still using the voice for the other guy, which I thought was fucking weird, because I'm like, it doesn't look anything like the other guy. You know what I mean? It looks like his face looks a lot whiter, and it doesn't look like the guy we saw in the beginning of the film. And as a kid, I didn't know that until obviously when we start do our research and we see, I'm like, why the fuck did they have two different actors? But I guess the other guy didn't look right with the makeup. They don't really say. I mean, I've done some research on it, but if you know, dude, leave your comments below, dude. But I mean, other than that, there's not much going on with the film. Like, all we see is like this girl, for whatever reason, like Mark was saying earlier, like he's like laughing, his uncles were laughing. It's like, she banged this guy once or twice or whatever, and she's like bringing people to go get sacrificed to him, and she's over here kissing this corpse, and I don't know, I think it's stupid as shit.
Well, and then the comment to
He's spellbound.
Yeah.
He's spellbound.
Yeah.
He's just spellbound. He has mind control powers over her, dude.
That's it. But like, damn, you can come back. Like, how like Chris said, like dick slave zombies. I mean, yeah, that's what this is, dude. It's like, wow, it's like this guy comes back as a corpse, and this chick is like, all right, I'll kill a couple of guys for you, no big deal,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you think that was ridiculous, Chris, or you were fine with it?
No, I thought it's very fucked up. I mean, and I mean, besides the fact she's committing mortal sin to bring back an evil occultist dead guy that she was committing adultery on her husband with to begin with. I mean, you don't get any more mortal sin crazy going to hell as that. But yeah, I thought it was fucked up. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
It gets down to nut cutting time. No, and then no. So then when he says, so Larry cuts his hand on the nail in the door frame, moving the fucking mattress, couch, whatever it is, and he cuts his hand, and he gets a deep cut, like it drags in his hand. I mean, that was like nails on a chalkboard to watch that. But then that's what brings the dude back to life, because it goes through the floorboards, I guess. And then he tells her, "I need more blood to become more whole, more back to life again." So I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, he needs more of his brother Larry, like it's a DNA brothers connection that he needs to come back to life. Okay, I'm thinking that. Well, she's just killing random dudes, and their blood is bringing him back to life. It's like, why did you even have to kill anybody? Why didn't you just slit your own wrist, give him your blood, and then that would bring him back?
See, exactly. Because like, how much blood did Larry fucking bleed out to make almost like a whole person like that, And she's got, and then he's got the two whole bodies, dude, and he's still a piece of shit.
I love how Chris can make sense of these over-the-top ridiculous things.
Yeah.
But when you ask him stuff about his personal life, dude,
His
he has no
quote unquote
clue.
girlfriend, dude.
Yeah. Don't know.
We'll
When he
see.
goes, how do you do that, Chris? How do you do that?
I'm an amazing person. That's how I do it.
I agree with that, dude. I agree with that, dude.
So it's like, what? But why would you? But to keep going, it's like that. And why would you kill people when, if it's just human blood of anybody you could use, why wouldn't you just dab your finger, slit your wrist, whatever the fuck, or figure out a way to make your husband cut himself again, then collect it and then give it to him later? It's like, why do you have to commit the sin of killing people to give him this blood to bring him back?
Huh?
Maybe he needs another man. Maybe it just needs to be man blood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God. So, Kirsty, when she finds out that Frank's a piece of shit, she finds the puzzle box and she sees that, he's real fucking pissed off about her, taking it or just having it, and she throws it out the window and she runs out and she ends up passing out like on her way. On her way. I always laugh, dude. I don't know if y'all remember it, or do y'all know who Hagrid is from the Harry Potter movies? That big old dude with the big beard.
Yeah.
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 Well, there's like, I was just, because like whenever I do whenever we're gonna do a review, I always listen to some podcasts. I watch the movie. I watch other reviewers. And this one dude, he goes, and then Kirsty meets Hagrid because it's that homeless guy. It's fucking puts his hands in that fucking whatever the fuck it is. What kind of bugs are those, Chris? You know what I'm talking about, when he puts his hand in like...
No, like, yeah, the little... Yeah, they're like... I don't want to say they're like tadpole nematode.
Where the fuck did you go, Chris?
Chris?
He put him...
So it's fucking gross. That fucking weirdo... Well, what happened?
You're going on mute, dude.
You cut off.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, but it was some kind of something... I don't want to say they're like...
It's probably
nematode...
crickets. It was probably like crickets, dude. You know how they're like,
Yeah.
they have tiny crickets when they're small.
Any crickets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it looked like
And it was-
Hagrid. I don't like. What the fuck is the point of this scene? You know, like that's Clive Barker though. It's like, what's some crazy shit I could just throw in here that's disturbing? You know? Yeah, like, how about some fucking homeless guy eating a bunch of crickets out of a fucking pet store, dude? You know? And she's like, you need to leave. You need to leave right now. But anyway, so she ends up passing out, and like it's so stupid. She's there at the fucking hospital, and like the doctors are like, we call it the police or some stupid bullshit, and maybe this will help you remember. And they give her the puzzle box, and she like starts fucking with it, and it calls onto the Cenobites, and you know she doesn't know what it's all about, right? And then like she's like, they tell her like, you know, you called on us and all this bullshit, and she tells them like, you know, Frank escaped, and that's when they're like, okay, you know, no one escapes us and all this bullshit, right?
You're lying.
Yeah,
You're lying.
yeah. If Chris was a Cenobite, dude, you're lying. You're lying about me. So they tell her like, well, you know, he has to confess it, all this and that, and that's when she goes back to the house. But now Frank has, you know, he's killed Larry. We don't know it yet because it's like Larry's acting all completely strange, and that dude was getting himself pretty over. Like in the beginning of the film, Andrew Robinson, that's his name, the actor. And I remember him from Dirty Harry as the Scorpio Killer, dude. That's all I remember. Yeah, that's all I remember. I was like, I've seen him somewhere recently, and it was because Dirty Harry was on somewhere. So he starts getting himself over. He starts acting crazy, right? Like, come to daddy. And like that reminds me, we're gonna get to it, Chris, but Freddy on Freddy 4 goes, come to Freddy. And like they came out around the same time, so of course, you know, Freddy's trying to rip off Hellraiser. So
No.
no? Well, I mean, like Freddy's way more
No.
over, dude. He does it way better, dude. But he gets a line like that and he makes it over. It's not this, you know, come to daddy. Like speaking of this scene, we're gonna reverse. Isn't that shit fucking weird, dude? The dad, Larry, like when Julia's like, I think she kills like the first guy. That's what happens. And the dad goes, "Do you want some candy, little girl?" I was like, what the fuck?
Hey, put that to a Cuban beat.
Okay, Jason. But I'm like, what the fuck? Who wrote the dialogue for this film? It's just stupid, dude. You know what I mean? It's like you have somebody that basically when I see this movie now, it's like you have some psychopath. It's like, okay, I have these crazy ass ideas, right? Where this guy, he needs to reanimate himself by killing people, but I have nothing else in between or no good story other than this girl's fucking, you know, a dick slave, whatever, to this guy. So I'm just gonna throw in a bunch of stupid dialogue, like, you want some candy, little girl? She's got her mother's looks. Like, it's just stupid. I mean, there's like, that's what I was trying to say when we watched Poltergeist. I'm like, man, Poltergeist, they're just bullshitting, but it's good bullshit, right? Here, it's like you're watching the film and you're like, they are saying absolutely fucking nothing, dude. I mean, is there anything, Mark, that I know you haven't seen it in a while. There's really nothing they really say, right? They kind of like, oh, it's a pretty good movie, right?
Nothing that stands out.
Yeah.
Nothing that stands out, dude. It's all. You know, they had good conversation, dude. That's all.
Yeah, they had good,
Nothing stands out.
good
They
conversation.
didn't even have that.
I mean, don't you agree, Chris? Like, there's like a whole
No,
lot of
I do.
nothing, like a whole lot of like they're having dinner during the housewarming party, dude. I don't know, you know, who's gonna get a house ready in one day, dude. The house looks like shit still. But like they're there having dinner and they're like they talk about almost absolutely nothing. Like I can't remember anything they say because it's uninteresting, you know.
Yeah.
And it's
No,
not
I
like
totally agree.
it's not like Home Alone where it's Fuller, go easy on the Pepsi, you know, like just the fucking quotable lines. And did someone order me a plain cheese? With this shit, it's
Yeah.
like what? There's nothing going on.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Yeah, the whole
It's-
movie.
Well, and
it's not memorable at all, dude.
Yeah.
I agree. It's not memorable lines, number one. And number two, the dialogue does nothing to either tell the story in greater depth or to advance the story, as any other movie would.
Mm-hmm. And then Kirsty has his boyfriend, Steve, and we don't give a fuck about him. You know, he's like, he's worse than Johnny Depp in the first Nightmare on Elm Street. He's just kind of like, right? It's like, what the fuck is this guy here for? Just for Kirsty to have a boyfriend, dude? That's it? You know, I ran to someone I know,
Squash
but
match, dude.
it's a squash
Yeah.
match.
Yeah. He's just a dude on the side. Chris, do you agree with that?
Pretty much. I mean, there's nothing particularly. I mean, for that matter, I mean, none of these characters, minus Frank, none of these characters are particular. Or Frank and Julia, just because they're the assholes. But none of them are particularly intriguing.
You don't like anyone, right? You're supposed to be rooting for Kirsty, but it's like, I mean, she's hot. That's about it. But it's like, she don't got anything else. Like, okay, she's even like with certain movies, there's like that point where the character discovers what's going on, but here it happens so fast. She just sees Julia bring in a guy, and she sees right away, oh, Frank's alive. That's it. So Frank's alive. We don't even know what's going on with these dudes. She just, knows that Frank's alive now, and Frank's this fucking walking corpse basically, and there's no, like you said, there's no build up. There's like, there's nothing really to go on other than we have these crazy ass over the top scenes where she's hitting guys over the head. Frank's being reanimated, and then all of a sudden, the Cenobites show up, and we're not afraid of them because they haven't really done anything. We see the chains come out in the beginning, and that's it. And then she's like, oh, I'll bring you back, Frank, he got away from you and this and that. And then she finally gets him to admit it, and he's all like, your Uncle Frank, your dear Uncle Frank, whatever the fuck. And that's when, dun, like, the coolest part of the whole film is when the bell tolls, before the fucking, the Cenobites, like, make their appearance and shit. Like, that's like, basically the only part that they get over.
Egg Shen, you have come a long ways to find me, but it is too late. There are 2 girls with green eyes, and I will marry them both. And then I will sacrifice Gracie Law to appease my emperor and live out my earthly pleasures with Mao Yin.
And yeah, so when the Cenobites, before they come out, they have that bell toll, and you see that like super dark blue coming out from the cracks of the walls, and they show up there, and he's like, what the hell is this? And that's when all the fucking chains just get attached to him. I remember seeing that as a kid. You remember seeing that as a kid, Mark, where they start ripping apart Larry, Andrew Robinson, but it's Frank. And they just like, it's all on his face, and his face is like all ridiculously stretched out, dude.
I really don't, dude. I don't remember. I mean, I know there was chaos going on, but I mean, again, if you can't catch the attention of a little boy, dude, at 9 years old, you're supposed to be some horror movie. I think you're doing something wrong, dude. I think you're doing something extremely wrong. It's kind of like you date a girl for like 7 or 8 years, and you still can't get her to spend the night, or you spend the night with her, or go to her house a lot. You're doing something wrong, dude. You just know it. But just like the Hellraiser franchise, they just keep going on and on and on and on.
It's funny.
Everything's fine, dude.
It's funny you mentioned that, dude, because I don't know if you know, but there's about, well, I'll let you guess, how many films total are there in the Hellraiser franchise, Mark?
I don't know, 8.
Let me see. I think there's 10 actually, dude. I think there's 10.
Are you shitting me?
Fuck.
Yeah, I think there's 10.
Listen who's talking about, the guy in the 8-year run, dude.
He's like,
Are you
oh,
kidding me?
fuck.
They're going on that long? They're going on that long? Nothing's going on?
Yeah, there's 10. Yeah, there's 10, dude. There's Hellraiser, Hellbound, Hell on Earth, Bloodline, Inferno, Hellseeker, Deader, Hellworld, Revelations, and Judgment. So yeah, there's 10. I was like, I know there's at least 8. And when you said 8, I was like, well, there's been 2 new ones. And it's funny because, of course, we're going to get to them. But they actually get better, to me at least, because a lot of people, they always talk about, oh, part 1 and 2, they're the best Hellraisers. And for some people that are just into gore, just like the same pieces of shit that love like the Saw movies because it's just gore, just for the gore factor or whatever. Like, I'm like, I don't see, and I always, I'm gonna say like stupid because it's like, well, these are these 2 films that everyone says are the best or whatever in the franchise, and it's like, I don't feel like that at all. I'm like, is Blood and Guts like is that what's gonna like carry a movie for you? Is seeing people get ripped apart? Or it's like, oh, so we can't think of a good storyline, so we're gonna jump off a ladder, right? It's like,
all, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all It's all sizzle, no steak, dude. Just the way Chris likes it.
Yeah,
Well,
that's.
and
Go ahead, Chris.
well, I was gonna say, like, I mean, you gotta have story matters. I mean, in anything, whether it's a movie or wrestling, whatever. And I don't even care what kind of movie it is. That's what people are craving. That's people. They want to be told, and they want to be able to follow a good story that's logical, that makes sense, but that they don't maybe anticipate every fucking thing that's gonna happen, and has characters that establish themselves, as mostly good or mostly assholish. I mean, no one's going to be a 100% perfect heel. No one's going to be a 100% perfect face. But, on the gray spectrum, they're more white or they're more black. That's what people want in a fucking story, whether it's horror, whether it's romance, whether it's comedy, sci-fi, whatever the fuck. Yep. And this movie didn't do that.
It didn't do that! No, out of the 10 films, I'll tell y'all right now, like I said, we'll eventually get to them because I know we're going to start doing the franchises in full. We're going to do the Freddy one first because that's our favorite one. So, before we, kind of get lost with all the craziness, we'll do the Freddys, and then we'll do the, probably, I'm really dreading doing the fucking Friday the 13th, dude, because there's going to be a whole lot of, so Jason killed another motherfucker.
Why do it, dude?
Right? I mean, we should just do
it?
Yeah. What? Go ahead.
Tremors, dude. We just need to do the Tremors franchise, dude. Get everybody over. Dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy that box set, dude, so we can do them. Cause I remember liking it a lot as a kid, dude. Those are one of those films you're just like, you get invested in the story. You're like, oh shit, watch your fucking feet, motherfucker. And but anyway, with Hellraiser, like I'll tell you right now, I don't think Mark's seen them past part 2, but the 3rd one, the 4th, the 5th, 6th one, and the 7th, those are actually way better films, and they always get trashed. But to me, they're like way better films than the first 2 that always get heralded as like, oh, dude, Hellraiser and Hellbound. I'm like, really? Y'all like these fucking films? Like, what the fuck's so good about them? You know what I mean?
Get a hold of your hairline, Chris. But
Okay.
I've actually seen part 1, 2, 3, and 4, dude, of Hellraiser.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a piece of shit. So part 3. Okay, part 3 is the one. Okay, we're just gonna of course we're gonna talk about it later more in depth. But part 3, it's the one where it's that hot ass bitch who's like a news reporter. You remember that one? That's the part 3.
No.
Okay.
Once I see like 10 minutes of it, I'll remember the fucking movie, dude.
So she goes there's this club or whatever, dude, and there's a statue that comes back to life again with blood. And,
got it. I remember now.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. And the chick's hot.
Yeah.
And it's it's not a great story, but to me it's better than the first 2. What do you think, or do you remember it now? Because it's got J.P. Monroe.
No, I don't remember, but dude, when have you ever heard me talk about Hellraiser?
Never.
That didn't leave an impression on me. I'm completely bored watching those movies, dude. Completely bored.
We're gonna have to wait till we get to rewatch them, dude, so you can go back in time. But Chris, so the ending with this one, dude, all Kirsty does is fuck with a box, right, and that's it. And they get zapped back into hell. Oh, the engineer comes out too. He's supposed to be like the guardian of hell or whatever, but he looks like a bent dick. So yeah, you know what I'm talking about? That creature that comes like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I'm like,
coming her way.
Yeah, coming her way, dude. But so, I mean, what did you think about the ending? Because there's not much really that happens. It's just, one guy shows up here, the Cenobite shows up there, and they get zapped away. It's not, like we always talk about, like Mark talks about. Well, I'm gonna rate this compared to The Changeling, right? Well, I always rate endings compared to Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and I know you haven't sat there and watched it yet, but it's one of the best fucking endings to me because they actually have a good way to kill Freddy. Like, it's a way to like, oh, wow, that would work. So I'm rating it off of that shit. But what did you think about Kirsty displays with her vagina, the box, and, she puts the motherfuckers away.
No, I mean, it was good. It made it look like it was a challenge for her because you didn't just one and done with the box and they all 4 zap away. Like, she had to handle them. I remember this. She had to handle them like one at a time, like hit it or unfold it or whatever, and then one goes away, then another goes away, then another. And I think the very last one was that fucking like that creature looking one, the one that doesn't have like eyes and a real face. It's just that
the engineer
chatter kind of.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Is
that
it,
one.
if it's a Cenobite, then it was the Chatterer. But if it was that white, long, bent dick looking motherfucker, it was the Engineer. But I don't think he comes out at the end, or maybe he does.
It was the Chatterer. It was that chattering one that's like kind of looks like a dragonish kind of
Yeah.
lizardish kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
That one comes out, and that was the very last one, and then they all go away, and then in the end, her and the boyfriend, like the house burns down,
Mhm.
and then they throw the box in the fucking fire. And I mean, I know you want to have the thing like as far away from every human being as possible because of what it can unleash, but at the same time, like I'd also be scared of just throwing something like that in a fire because who knows what will happen from that.
Yeah, they end up throwing that box into a fire, right? And then that same homeless guy Hagrid, he fucking takes it out. He turns into some like winged demon or whatever, right? Because it's like, what else can we do, right? And then he flies away, and then it goes back, and then David Lopan has the box again. He's like, what does it mean? 2 girls with green eyes after all these years, Mr. Button.
Chris has no
blew
clue
me
what you're
away.
talking about.
No, I know that, but that blew me away
Egg
because,
Chan.
like,
Egg
ended-
Chan. Go ahead.
It ended the same fucking way as it began. Pretty much Frank at the fucking, or no, another guy at the fucking, at the bazaar with the fucking box. And it's just like, wow, you know, it's like, it ends pretty much the way it began. I bothered to go to the second one because Hulu has that too. It doesn't have the third one or the fourth, but it does have the second. Because I just want to get 10 minutes in, just kind of see how it takes off. And I was glad to see that they took off from where the first one leaves off. Only this time you see a fucking bald guy with that box, like kneeling down, trying to utilize his power. But then you see her, the daughter Kirsty, in a fucking like state hospital, psych ward, wherever fucking the cop walks in. And of course, I mean, it's logical. I like that they start off logically because, oh, a fucking house burned down. Oh, this fucking guy Larry and his wife and everybody else, they're all fucking dead. And you were the last person that we have any eyewitnesses that saw you there. So naturally, we're gonna point the finger at you. That's logical.
Shut up,
Even though-
Mr. Barton. You're not upon this world to get it. I'm listening to dude David Lopan.
reference- Chris doesn't know who David Lopan is.
Oh my
You know that,
god.
right? He's
Or
missing
check
all the
it,
reference,
check
all
it
the-
to a psych ward,
no-
whatever comes first, huh?
Yeah, he has no clue what you're talking about. Dude.
You gotta see, Chris. You've never seen Big Trouble in Little China?
They used to show it on Channel 11
Oh,
on Friday nights when I
God.
was a kid, but I never watched it from beginning to end. I saw like minute here, a couple minutes there, that type of shit.
So we should do that next, dude. 'Cause it's
Oh,
got
yeah.
some supernatural stuff in it, dude.
Yeah, no,
There's demons in it.
I love Big Trouble in Little China, dude. That's easily top. I'm gonna say like top 5 favorite movies for me, dude. Just because everyone in the fucking film is over, dude. How many films can you say
Yeah.
everyone's over when Egg Chan, you know, the guy from was it Three Ninjas and all that shit? Oh, Mr.
Three
Barton.
Ninjas.
Yeah.
Wayne's World 2.
Yeah, fucking. You got Kurt Russell. I mean, fucking A. And then even his friend, what's his name? David or not Dave. That's David Lopan. Wang. Yeah, Wang. He's there doing all the flying kicks. He's, you know, come on, Jack. And the 2 hot ass bitches that are in there with the green eyes, and you know, even the guys that are working at the Kim Cattrall. Oh yeah, that sexy bitch. And then even the guys that are working at the restaurant, you know, like they're just like funny, you know, that one dude that's like into the reporter and the other guy who's like a cook or whatever. All the different dudes that are there, like they're gonna help Egg Chen beat up Lopan, like all the different warriors or whatever. Like they're all
badass motherfuckers, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe you haven't seen that, Chris, but you've watched the OJ trial. Dude. That's unreal to me.
Yeah,
No,
dude.
they like I said, they used to always fucking show it like on, and I can't believe y'all don't remember this. Like Friday nights on Channel 11 used to always fucking be, you know, like this was the early 90s. They would always show like mid to late 80s movies every fucking Friday night on like Channel 11. And I remember Big Trouble in Little China, a few times they played that, and I would watch. Keep in mind, I'm like 8, 9, 10 years old, but I would watch a few minutes of it here and there. But I never watched it beginning to end.
Well, you're a piece of shit.
It's
So
'cause you got no class. You got no class, Chris.
have you seen
What's up?
Easy Money, Mark?
Have I seen what?
Easy Money with Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
I was laughing
It's not,
because he goes, I got no, and then Joe Pesci goes, no class. No, we both know I got class. I got no, someone that can't say no. Sonia. No, not Sonia. Anyway, but yeah, Chris, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you, dude. Big Trouble in Little China's, I mean, there's very few movies that are even close to being that over, dude, where it's just ridiculous, but it's so ridiculous it's awesome, dude.
Cult classic. Of course,
Yeah.
Chris gonna watch it.
Did you
We're
enjoy?
gonna watch it, dude.
Did you enjoy They Live, Chris?
It was fun when we did that. That was
you're
fun.
a piece of shit. Well, it's about 3 or 4
That's a
times.
no.
Yeah, it's about 3 or 4 times better than They Live because it's like nonstop, quotable lines, nonstop. Everyone's over.
Fuck.
It's like nonstop. Am I right or what?
Everybody's a worker, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I love They Live, but it's just really rowdy and it's a good story. You know, that's and then you have the guy
I'm a
from
black dude.
yeah, I was gonna say the guy from Marked for Death, and that's it. You know, that's really all you have. It's a good story, but
Whoa.
here, and it's the same director, John Carpenter, who we just talked about with Halloween. But this one, dude, no, I mean, that one's gonna have to be scene for scene because there's so many lines that are just ridiculous. And then,
It's good. It's
yeah,
good, yeah.
and then when the 3 storms come down, you can go all day about the 3 storms that thunder, rain, and I forgot the other one, but they had copied Raiden from Mortal Kombat because of that. Those dudes, and even Shang Tsung, you know, the main guy for Mortal Kombat's from David Lopan, and you're over here like, you don't know who Mr. Button is? You know, what the fuck is wrong with you, Chris?
Look, we came here to see David Lopan, all right?
Huh?
Well, I don't get this at all. I thought Lopan...
Shut up, Mr. Button. You are not brought upon this world to get it. 你快啲講俾我聽啦嚇！如果你唔講俾我聽，我就殺死你啊！啊？
Hellraiser 1987, like we had talked about it, the ending's not much. Kirsty just zaps those motherfuckers back to another dimension. Growing up, for me, it was like, oh, this is a scary movie, and now I see it. I was so bored. And Mark was like, I was telling Mark, hey, I need you to rewatch it. He's like, nope. He's like, nope. And I'm like over here like, okay, because it had been a while since I watched it, but I have the worst memory out of all these motherfuckers. So I put it on, and after like 10 minutes, I'm like, I don't want to see this shit. and then I put it on again the next day for the 10 minutes after that. Like after 10 minutes, I'm like, I don't want to watch this shit. And I kept on
mentally checked out. Dude.
yeah, I kept on doing it, dude. I must have done it like until I got about 50 minutes into the film. And I'm like, I'm just going to watch the fucking review. And I was watching Decker Shadow's review because it was his review was more entertaining than the fucking movie. Now, how many people or how many anythings are you going to say, man, the review was way better than the fucking movie? There's not that many people that'll do that unless it's a piece of shit movie and they're funny. And that's basically what I went off when I got with this film. And I was going to rate it actually higher than I am now. But after rewatching it earlier today, I'm going to let Chris tell y'all what his rating is before I start trashing it. So, Chris, go ahead. Tell us about your experience. Like I said, everyone's different.
About 9.5.
This is your...
No. Fuck no.
But, look, I understand. This is your first time watching this. I know you're not into horror movies. So be honest, your thoughts on the film.
I'll be very clear. I'll do it like, let me be clear.
Let me be clear.
I'm doing the Obama thing. No, this movie is not for fuck's sake, who the fuck would give this a 10? They must be fucking brain dead. Who would give it a 9? They must be also brain dead. 8, you got something wrong with you. 7, you can get you help. Yeah, this is a 4 in my opinion. And again, because there's so much potential here for the story they could tell. There's nothing wrong with the acting cast they have. I mean, they're not. Is it fucking Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio and Johnny Depp? No, it's not.
Yeah.
But they're good enough, and you can tell a story with them if you know what the fuck the story is. They do nothing to introduce people effectively. They do nothing to establish people effectively. They do nothing to build, like you said, build people up. They don't show, like, these Cenobites just come out of nowhere. Who are they? What's the nature of their existence? What's the nature of their power? What are their powers? How powerful are they? Where are they from? Are they 100% evil? Are they from hell? Are they from another dimension? I mean, you know none of this.
Yeah.
It's just so shitty. And then somehow the brother Frank dies, and yet just somehow magically in this alternate dimension he gets ripped apart, limb from limb, skin off the bone, and all this shit. But he's just pieces of him, unorganized, living in the floorboards of his deceased mother's house, and blood drops on him, and that starts bringing him back to life, almost whole. It's just a shitty fucking story. That, again, those fucking Cenobites look badass. If you have a good story and you establish them and you build them correctly, and if they themselves portray themselves a more powerful way, it could be a very good fucking movie. The elements are all there. It's just they don't tell the story and they don't establish power levels. That's the problem, and for that reason, I give it a 4.
Wow, I'm surprised that you went that low, because, I was expecting a piece of shit score from you. But I was here, I'm here watching the film. It had been a long while, right? And like you said, I'm like, well, you have a good idea you have these demons from another dimension and all this and that, but nothing is executed right. They don't present them well. They don't build them up. I don't like any of the characters. Even the story is stupid, and I'm like, is there any reason for me to want to watch this movie again? Is there any way that I'm going to start telling, hey, Mark, you've never seen this movie, you should watch it because... And I'm like, fuck no. I don't see how I can refer this to anyone. I don't see... And, like, it was strange watching it again, because I've seen, since I was young, a lot of horror movies, and I see stuff that's on Netflix, like Netflix originals, that are better than this film, and this is, like, really well known, right? And it's so weird, because like I said earlier, when I was just kind of like going off the top of my head, not earlier, but before I watched it again off the top of my head, I was like, it's like a 5 out of 10. It's not good, it's not bad, but after watching it this time, dude, I was like, man, this fucking film, it's like a 0 out of 10. Like, I don't like anything about it, dude. I mean, even the Cenobites, it's like they're not interesting. They're not interesting. Two of them don't even talk. The other one, it's like no personality. Even Pinhead, he's supposed to be this big, cool, tough guy, dude. And it's like, man, I mean, I hear Chris on the chat, and he cuts way better promos than this dude, And I just...
You should put some in, like, in the middle of this review.
Yeah, I should put Pinhead. Yeah, I should put Pinhead's promo and then the Chris promo, dude. Right?
Yeah.
What a real maniac sounds like, right? Because it's like,
yeah,
he's too relaxed. He's too calm. Like, we're supposed to be afraid of this guy who's like got no personality, really, and like, I guess that's what they want to get across. Well, he doesn't have a personality. He's kind of like monotone. Like Chris said too, they don't explain what these beings really are. I mean, he says we're angels to some, demons to other, but it doesn't explain anything. At least with the Evil Dead, like, you have that one guy who's reading off the the archaeologist who's letting you know, like, these are ancient Egyptian texts from the fucking Sumerian bullshit, and so you kind of like, oh fuck, this is really crazy. But here we don't get any. We just see a box, chains come out, that's it. I'm giving it a fucking 0 out of 10, dude. The bottom line, dude, that's the lowest I've gone, dude. And I used to like this movie, so kiss my ass, Chris. Mark, what do you think about this piece of shit?
I thought it was great, dude. A lot of great acting, a lot of great dialogue, memorable characters. These are great, dude.
Yeah.
These are fantastic, this movie. I'm going to give it a 10, dude. Everything's fine.
Yeah, dude. You just cover your eyes and everything's fine, right?
Yeah, everything's fine. You just tell yourself that everything's fine, and it's great, dude. It's great. So, dude, the Hellraiser, the Pinhead, dude, I don't iconic. I know, what was it, Jason digs Pinhead, right? Thinks that's a big deal, whatever, dude. Pinhead.
Yeah.
He's like you said, he's monotone. He sounds like a low-rent James Earl Jones, dude. When he's trying to cut a promo on,
Yeah.
at the last scene or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's screaming. I can't remember anything he says, dude.
We have such sights to show you. But you're not scared, though, dude.
Yeah.
You're not scared. It's like, 'cause he's not doing anything. He just attacks the same guy like 12 times, Frank, That's it. That's all he does.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You actually fucking friended him.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, okay, great, dude, great. Everybody run, hide.
Yeah.
Run for your lives and shit. No, I'm going to have to do like a 1, dude. I'm going to have to do it a 1 because I kind of like Frank, dude. He's the only thing I like about the movie, dude. I like him.
Well, that pissed me off, too.
Why? What is it about him? But I just like that he's a scumbag. He's like a backdoor guy.
Yeah.
That's what it is, dude.
I'm like, I was watching it, dude, and I was just like, man, there's nothing I like about this film. Like, it's been a long time where we do a horror movie where I just have to keep on not restarting it, but keep on stopping and playing because I'm like, I'll watch it and I'll go back to something else. I'll start watching it, go back. I'm like, because I was just like, nah, I'd rather watch something else, dude, And it's just unbelievable. Like, after watching this, it made Halloween seem like so much more fast-paced and, entertaining. Like after just watching Halloween and going to this, I was like, what the fuck, dude? And like Hellraiser is supposed to be like way more crazy, right? I mean, it's supposed to be way more crazy, but it has all that going for it apparently, but I'm just like, I don't want to watch this. I don't want to watch. There's no bill like with Michael. At least he's like driving around, dude. Drive around, huh? Doing that gimmick and fucking. They see him. It has a decent build up. It's pretty good. Not just the movie starts off and you shoot your load. Frank gets ripped apart. So it's like, okay, now what? Now we're gonna go to this slow, boring ass movie where fucking this lady, she's just standing there, just reminiscing about getting banged. I'm like, oh man, this is a great horror movie. Like what the fuck am I watching? When I'm like watching it, I was just like, oh, that son of a bitch, Marky was right. It's like, what the fuck is this shit?
Now, to give some context to it, it's just like if, and for whatever reason, but if the movie itself, because it's 93 minutes, but that's including the entirety of the closing credits.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, if you extend the movie into, give it an extra 10 minutes, you could have used an extra 10 minutes. It's still a regular length movie at that point, because that would make it an hour 40. And you can throw in some storytelling dynamics where you can give a better introduction to these characters. You can give a better explanation of who people are. That, I think, was just the most of anything lacking element in this whole movie, and it's just not enjoyable for that. As far as Halloween, I actually thoroughly enjoyed Halloween, and again, not just because it's my first time watching, I was new to it, but that's what I was expecting Friday the 13th to be, was Halloween.
Yeah. No. Now, Halloween's way better than Friday the 13th. That's for damn sure. This film, I think they could have gone they should have gone two ways to me. Is you introduce Frank a lot more, have a good 10-minute who's Frank and his whole gimmick, or you don't show Frank at all until he gets resurrected from the grave and then he has a flashback. But it was like you were just thrown in right away that, hey, here's this dude, he gets ripped apart, so we know right away what happens to him. So there's no mystery. There's no nothing. It's just like, okay, this movie just ripped this dude apart, and now they're asking about him. We don't know who Frank is, but we know that someone just got ripped apart. Is that the guy they're talking about? So there's no mystery about it, and we don't even care who he is because he dies fucking a minute into the film. So you know what I mean? It's just like there's nothing really for me to care about, dude. So yeah, that's why it's.
I'm reading the Wikipedia. Yeah, sorry to cut you up. I'm reading the Wikipedia page here, and if you listen to this is on Hellraiser 1. This isn't on any of the sequels. Characters. Cenobites are extra-dimensional beings who appear in let's give it the novels and the 10 Hellraiser films. They are theologians from a religious sect in hell known as the Order of the Gash. Now, when in the fuck do I ever know that from this movie?
They don't say anything like that. That's from the book. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, they don't, like, when you like, I don't even care for the book because it's so over the top ridiculous. But they tell you like, okay, Frank's, he's banging all these whores, dude, and like everything we were talking about earlier. So you understand where he's coming from. Like here, they don't really say it, but you can kind of see like he's like, it's not enough. He tells Julia it's not enough, this and that. But in the book, they spend a good while explaining that, hey, he's done all this and that, and he's fucking tried this and he's tried that, and he's looking for a new way to get off. So he hears about this box, the Lamont configuration, La Marchand configuration, and they kind of explain what he's going after, and that the fucking Hellraiser demons, they're from the Order of the Gad, and they explain all that, but in the film, it's like they don't say anything. It's just like this guy gets ripped apart with this box. His brother moves into the house with his wife, who had an affair with this dude. He's resurrected from the blood, and they start killing and it's just, there's no story. It's just shit happens. Like they don't explain why the shit's happening or anything. It's just like, okay, I don't know. Like it's like if you saw the Nightmare on Elm Street film and they didn't tell you why Freddy was killed in the first place or why he's after kids. It's just you just have this guy killing people. You're just like, well, there's no motive. We don't know why is this guy so evil? There's just, I don't know. That's all you're getting from me.
It's just like a bad date, dude, where you're like, hey, come over, we can eat. And just have a good conversation.
Yeah, I'm like,
what's the point? What's
yeah.
the point, dude?
Yeah, I feel stupid trying to make sense of why it's stupid, you know what I mean? It's like, well, this movie sucks because, like, just watch it. You tell me why. But yeah, the same thing, it's like, I already ate, I can't drink. What's the point of hanging out?
Yeah. No, I'm hoping it redeems itself on the second one, because again, I like how it's starting out, and I hope that the second one gives a little more, deeper into who these people are and who these characters are and stuff, and maybe the third one will be even better than that. I don't know. I'm willing to go up to the third one. I got no problem with that. As far as Friday the 13th, I hope we can get to the third one on that one. I'm not saying do that right away. I know that you're probably want to put that on the back burner, and that's fine, but I'd like to see, because I want to get to the point where he's wearing the hockey mask going around with the machete killing people, because that's what I thought I was getting into on the first one, and it definitely was not that. So,
Dave on the phone.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Is this the? Have I got the bathhouse?
Yes.
Yeah. Let me ask you something now. This because this is very between us.
No problem.
All right. Now are there towel boys available?
They're not towel boys.
Yeah.
But there are guys in here, customers who come in here who wear towels.
All right. And what's your nationality?
My nationality?
Yeah.
I'm African American.
Oh, black.
Yes.
I love it. So you're pretty well hung, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty well hung.
I have a lot of money, and I know you black people like a lot of money.
Well, I would assume any nationality.
What do you say we get together? Your penis and my money. We've got internships coming up pretty soon.
But I'm sure you can find.
Stop laughing, you homo. Are you a top or a bottom, sir?
I'm a verse.
Oh, fantastic.
Jesus Christ.
So your log is brown and you want to get it to browner, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, I think we could do that.
So you guys come in.
You ever get a little mud on the helmet?
Unfortunately, but don't like it.
Are you a big fan of Paul Schaefer's?
Yeah, sure. He's a great musician.
You could taste his ass on my cock. I pay him in cock, and he sucks a big dick.
How can I help you? Because I have other customers right now.
Can I fuck you in the ass, sir?
No.
We'll make it a stupid human trick.
Yeah, well, like I had said before, like with the Hellraiser films, the Jason films, they actually get better, or the Friday the 13th. Like for me, like I don't like Friday the 13th 2. I like 3, 4, 5's okay, 6. They're all right. And then Hellraiser 2, like to me, it's like they get so much more interesting when you get to the other films. I mean, yeah, the acting's always pretty bad, but they're fucking better films than this shit, because it's like, like we've already discussed. It's like why is this known as a really good film? Because it's like everyone sucks. You know, there's no story. There's just whatever. So no, I'm really excited to do Friday the 13th 3 for sure, dude. So
Awesome.
Mark, dude, I got a question for you, dude.
Go ahead, dude.
Let's
I'm a loser.
yeah.
All right, you're better than me.
Let's just say, you know, you have this lady friend, right? And she gets like a week and a half. Yeah, she's got a week and a half off of work, right? A week and a half off of work, right? So, you know, what I mean, I'm not going to tell you my next question, but what are you thinking knowing she's going to be off the next week and a half? As far as you and her go.
I'm thinking our dirty parts are gonna be really sore, dude. That's what I'm thinking, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
It's just gonna be a whole week of just fucking and eating and fucking, dude. That's what I'm thinking.
so you're telling me there's going to be a lot of oral, there's going to be a lot of poking with, you know, with parts, right? And there's going to be a lot of Thai rice, right?
A lot of Thai rice, a lot of squirting,
A lot of squirting.
napping.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of napping, dude. Because
A lot of
we wear
Rocky.
ourselves out and then we're full.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that simple, dude.
Watching
That simple.
stars, trying to recover, dude, while you eat, right? You're relaxing, doing things yourself,
Yeah.
and you get back to action whenever you're ready.
I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less than that, dude. Especially if we were in a rock solid, long-term relationship.
Is 8 years a long time, dude?
I think that's a significant amount of time, dude.
So, let's yeah.
That's a big chunk of somebody's life, dude. Especially if they're, I don't know, let's say right under 40, dude.
Yeah.
That's a big
I
chunk
agree.
of somebody's life.
I agree. So, your lady friend, right? She's gonna be off the next week and a half, and her first day off is Wednesday. Let's just say it's Wednesday, and she's like, "Okay, I'll come by for 2 hours and 15 minutes, just about, you know." And you're like, "Okay, okay." You know, what are you thinking if she only come by for 2 hours and 15 minutes? And you know, and what, you know, y'all.
I'm thinking.
Go ahead.
I'm thinking. Well, I'm gonna have I'm gonna have my massage tools ready. My massage tools will be ready.
Yep.
So I can massage her real quick. That always loosens them up. And then so about let's say 30 minutes. So we basically got like an hour or 45 minutes of fucking to do, dude. Which I already used 30 minutes of massage, dude.
Yeah.
I'll get a good hour and a half at least of squirting, and then I'll wear myself out. She can go home. I'll go to the gym and then come home and fall asleep, dude.
No big deal. Yeah, it's a good night. Yeah, it's pretty good. Have yourself a little meal, watch some Rocky after a shower, go straight to bed like a baby, right?
Yeah.
Doing things yourself.
Do it again the next day.
Yeah. So, you know, let's just say that, you know, Thursday she's kind of being distant, and then Friday she's even more distant, and then Saturday she kind of sends you a text just like way later in the day, dude. And your friend's been telling you like, "Hey, dude, you know, she's gonna have a couple of days off, dude. Watch the mind games," and she starts doing that mind game to you, dude. You know, what do you know? Because you've seen this pattern before. Let's just say that, right? You've seen this pattern where, you know, you're gonna she's got these days off, or there's something to do, and all of a sudden she's like, "Nope, I can't be, you know, I can't be fucking held down for you know, or locked down this many days in a row. You're only gonna get 1 day out of the week with me, dude." So it's Saturday. She starts being distant with you. Are you gonna say something, or just kind of like wait around for her to text you, dude? Because it's Saturday. I mean, that's when couples hang out, dude. Let's be honest.
I'm a busy person, dude. I'm I'm doing things all day long, dude. You know, I got. You know, if she doesn't want to hang out with me, dude, well, you know, good for her. You know, more food for me. I'll save some money, dude. That's what it is. I mean, I'm just saying that's what a piece of shit would say.
Yeah.
You know, somebody that doesn't have any guts.
Yeah.
But like, if you're really, you know, in a rock solid, serious relationship, there wouldn't be no, "Hey, are we gonna hang out?" It'd be like, "Hey, dude, I'm gonna be over there in about an hour and a half. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
You're gonna go work out. Well, you better be done. You better be home from the gym and showered.
Yep.
Before I get there.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
You're not gonna get anything at all.
Yep.
No food, no pussy, nothing.
Yep.
You're not getting anything. You know.
Yeah.
End of discussion.
No, I agree. Once you got to start like, hey, well, when are we gonna hang out? Or that when you have to start asking that question, dude, there's a problem, dude. There's a problem right there. Am I right?
Enormous problem.
Yeah.
No, there's some kind of disconnect somewhere, dude. But
Usually,
I wouldn't even waste my time.
usually it'll just be like, hey, Mark, when are you gonna be home? Or I need you to be home by this time. You're gonna. If it's a rock solid relationship, you're like, okay, yeah, I'll be there at 6. There's no. Hey, there shouldn't be any kind of debate or, hey, I'm watching the niece, dude. If someone told you they're watching the niece, dude, on their days off and they couldn't hang out with you, what's your are you gonna just be like, oh, okay, no big deal, dude? And they start using excuses like that, like, hey, the landlord came by. Are you gonna just be like, oh, that's fine, dude? But it's not just like one day.
The landlord hasn't been an issue in 2 years.
But the landlord has been an issue, right? Yeah.
2 years ago. 2
Yeah.
years ago.
But who uses that as an excuse?
If you knew landlords like I do, dude.
Yeah.
If you know landlords like I do, I would be very terrified of my landlord going over to my lady friend's house, dude.
Yeah.
Just,
if you know landlords like I do.
Dude,
Okay. First of all, that guy isn't even in the picture anymore. Secondly, he's 80. Thirdly, he's bedridden and on death's door. Fourthly, his daughter is the one who does it. So
you made my point. You made my point right there. Who says that?
What are you talking about, Chris?
What does an 80-year-old man do or say that's going to shake up somebody so much that they have to cancel a date with you, Chris? That's what I have to. That's what I. My next question.
Anyway.
Or 78, dude. All
right.
77 and a half. Kiss my ass. You're lying about me. Come on, but other than
Why are we talking about my personal life on a podcast?
I'm asking Mark. I was asking Mark.
Who's talking about you, Chris?
Yeah, I was asking you what do you feel about it. Who said your personal life and who said this and that? I mean, you have to jump in right away, fucking head first, and crack your fucking cranium. I'm over here asking Mark, and what do you think about it? And you're like, oh, my personal life, kiss my ass, Joe. Hey, I'm asking Mark. Okay, we'll go to Mark again. So Mark, it's she's off. This lady friend of yours, she was off since last Wednesday. It's Tuesday night, dude. No text for about 2 days or so, right? What are you thinking, dude? Are you just gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna wait till she texts, or are you gonna be like, fuck this motherfucker?
Well, what you fucked up on, what you failed to realize is I wouldn't wait for her. If she didn't want to hang out on Saturday, if she's been distant, well, you better believe I have 2 or 3 lined up for the rest of the week, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna be waiting around. I'm not gonna be waiting around for somebody to text me. How fuck do I care if they're texting me? I want to be doing stuff.
Yep.
I want to be fucking doing stuff. That's all there is to it, dude. That's all there is to it. If somebody doesn't want to hang out with me on their days off, dude, and I'm supposedly their world, the center of the universe.
Yeah.
The only man that matters.
Yeah.
Then there's no debate, dude. There's no debate at all. What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
I'm just trying to understand where some people come from, dude. Where it's just like, oh, when she finally reaches out, then it's fine, dude. Then I'll lay the smack down. Does that seem normal? Or
a month later, I let her have it, right?
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, it's been the same thing, but you just end up with Hellraiser. Chris?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mark, how's your life going?
Typical stuff, Typical stress. Nothing crazy. But I can handle it. I'm not just gonna bury my head in the sand and go, well, fuck it, it's not happening.
I just want peace tonight.
I did. I don't like. Yeah. I really didn't want to think about it. I just wanted to go home, watch my show, eat dinner, and just enjoy myself. And then I also did my night prayers, and I watched a couple of what are they called?
Well, what's different?
Little dedication, that kind of thing. And then, but you guys are all trying to instigate a whole conflict. It's like I don't want that. I just want have a peaceful night.
But what's the difference between a peaceful night and your non-peaceful night?
No, but it's like I didn't feel like talking about it, so I just wanted to go home, watch my show, eat dinner. That's it.
That's your problem.
So you don't want to.
You don't talk about the person. You don't talk about with the person that you're supposed to be talking with.
Okay, great. So, anyway.
That's great.
Yeah, anyway, so.
Maybe
one day I could be a African American celebrity of a different sexual persuasion, and get my internal connections to get me off of 16 felony counts from a grand jury.
Oh, it sounds like your lady friend can get away with more than Jesse Smollett. Dude. That's what it sounds like.
Right, he's over here like trashing Jesse Smollett, dude. That piece of shit. Arrow, fucking lock him up, dude. But
I didn't say he was a piece of shit. I just I said it on Instagram. You've been nonstop. No, I didn't say it was a piece of shit. I said he pulled a stupid stunt. He needs to do a little something for it. I'm not calling for hard time or anything like that, or 5 years.
This is Jesse Smollett's first time doing some stupid shit, Chris. What about someone that's been doing it for 8 years, Daddy?
I didn't cost the city of San Antonio any money, on investigating and make the city look bad and lie about people and all this kind of stuff. Is my personal life, and then this is a guy who lied about a supposed, hate crime.
When you buy the extra,
even know why there's.
When you buy the extra food, Chris, you're like, it's more for me, dude. It's more for me.
I don't know why there's even such a thing as hate crimes. Like, for example, why is it not just a crime the fact that somebody, of some kind of power hits somebody? Like, obviously, it's not a big deal if a 10-year-old walks up to you and hits you, but if you get attacked by two, 30-year-old fucking bodybuilders, I mean, that's kind of a serious thing. But, or attacked, I say, in finger in the air quotation marks. But, I mean, he made the city look bad. He got this whole media uproar. He cost investigators. They didn't just have any, oh, yeah, Detective Johnson, go check this out. No,
Chris, I like how you're so, you're so hard on everyone else, But the person you need to be hard on, no pun intended, Daddy. You're just like, oh, well, we'll see. We'll see. Shoulder shrug. Like, I don't get how you'll, just spit out all the facts and, but this other person, you'll just defend them to the end. And, oh, well, dude. It's fine. I'm just going to put my head in the sand, and it's fine.
No, I mean, my personal life doesn't affect anybody. I'm not costing anybody any money. I'm not costing...
Chris, you're an angry man on the chat. How is it not affecting nobody?
Oh, God.
I knew. I fucking knew, dude. Just like last fucking Christmas or whatever Christmas it was, when you're acting like a fucking dickhead and you're like, well, things weren't going so good, and I'm like, I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it. You only act like that when you're fucking mad at a certain someone, dude. Am I right, Mark?
No, I don't remember that being on Christmas.
Takes it out on me.
It was.
Takes it out on me.
Yeah, well, it was right before Christmas, but you had started that run before Christmas.
I don't. Last year?
No, Chris. The Christmas they got over like a son of a bitch. Was it 16?
Yeah, that had nothing to do with that though.
No, Chris, it had plenty to do with it because we knew. Me and Mark. It didn't. You were just throwing a fit till February because you were amplified, Chris.
I've talked to you on many occasions about this, and I've gone at length about what everything was going on, but. Had nothing, very little to do with that anyway.
There's no winning with you. You're just stubborn. Go ahead, Mark. Trash him.
How many times have I trashed him and he doesn't listen, dude? He doesn't listen at all, dude.
You're so stubborn, Chris. I've never met anyone, not even my fucking dogs, that you tell them no, and they just, like a dog just keeps going at it, even though you tell them no, it's like, man, what do I have to do to shock this motherfucker to see no is no, you're just supposed to do this and nope, no thanks. It's like, wow, you cannot be wrong, Chris. It's unreal. And no matter you'll say all these things. Oh, Jesse Smollett's a piece. And I didn't say he's a piece of shit. You'll say that he needs to do this, that, or whatever. But you have the same situation in front of you and then you try to go all well, I didn't cost the taxpayers any money. Okay, so did Jesse Smollett waste 8 years of someone's life? Well, what about you can go in circles all day, Daddy, but who are you tap dancing with?
For the memories, for the money, no
back, Daddy. The guy that's been through hell and back, he don't know shit. You know?
I
Okay.
didn't say you didn't know anything.
Okay, so you don't think that someone's...
I'm saying, I'm not fighting you on anything. What I'm saying is I'm handling this the way I feel comfortable. I'm saying I'm handling this the way I feel comfortable with right now. But
Chris, if it's the same,
that's it.
but if it's the same situation for X amount of years, and you've said the same thing...
Oh, it's not going to be. Like I said, it's not going to be. I'm going to let this play out as it's going to play out. I'm not going to force anything.
Mark.
I'm not going to push anything. But when she comes back, when this comes
so
back...
you're already... So Mark, like Mark said, I'm not waiting around. So you're already waiting around, right?
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, time will have this all play out. A short period of time will have this all play out. I'm not worried about this. That's the thing. I'm at peace. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. If there's something to be revealed, it will be revealed.
How is it going to be revealed if you ain't looking?
All things come to be. All things come with time.
Oh, man. He's trying to ease into it, dude. That's all.
So it's like this, Chris. Hey, Chris, it's like this. So, if you want to win the lotto, what do you have to do?
Okay. Obviously, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, no. What do you have to do? I'm asking you a simple question.
Okay, buy the ticket. Okay, fine. I don't get what this has to do with it. But okay.
So you have to buy a ticket, right? You said that, right? You have to buy a ticket.
I did say I did indeed.
Okay,
say
so
that, yes.
if you want things to come to be, or you want to, what do you have to do? You have to look. You can't just, you can't win the lotto if you don't buy a fucking ticket, right? The same thing with anything else. If you can't do this if you don't do that first. You can't. It's just So what are you expecting to get out of this? Oh, well, all things will come to be, and I'm handling it my way. Well, what are you doing? You're waiting around for the other person to initiate the contact, to engage, whether it's a month from now, or think about this, Chris. If it's 2 years from now, how's ridiculous?
It's not going to be 2 years, and I'm not waiting 2 years.
Okay, Chris. As ridiculous as it sounds, if this person, because you broke down in 4 months. Or I'm just giving you scenarios. You don't start correcting. If you break down in 4 months, or 5 months, or 8 months, or 12 months, and you say, you know what, it's been too long, I'm going to text, and they don't respond,
it's not going to be that long.
Okay, I'm just giving you scenario.
At that point.
No, you
Why
wouldn't.
do you think I'm? Yes, I would. I would be done at that point. I have specific plans in my head of what I'm going to do, and I'm going to let it be. And I don't want to. I don't want to go causing blowups. I just want to live my life, come home from work, watch my shows, go to church on Tuesdays afterwards, do my prayer rituals and all that stuff. Do what I do, and that's it. I don't want this kind of drama to be forced on me like this. I'm not going to go forcing things. What will be will be.
So, what will be, right? So again, you're just going to take whatever someone else gives you, right?
No, it's not about that.
Chris,
it's not about taking what someone else gives you. It's just I'm gonna do this the way I have planned to do it.
So again, you're saying what'll be will be. What does that mean? What'll be will be? Explain that to me.
It's gonna play out the way it's gonna play out.
Well, how is it gonna play out? Who's deciding? Who's calling the shots?
We'll find out.
So if she doesn't text you within a month, then you're gonna text. That's what you're saying, basically, right?
Nope.
So if she doesn't text in a year, then that's it.
Is this going to be on this video?
Yeah, it's going to be on the because no one's been named.
Yeah, I kind of don't really like that, but okay. Well then,
Okay, Chris. It's 2 years. You've been texting, no response, and this person decides to text you.
It's not going to be 2 years.
Chris, I'm giving you a hypothetical, and you're like, it's not gonna be. Chris, I'm telling you, if I'm exactly as ridiculous as it sounds, that's why I'm doing it like this. Because if it's something that's rational, you're like, no, I'm gonna correct you. It has to be ridiculous for you to kind of see the big picture like everything else. And it's 2 years from now. She's ignored you for 2 years, and then she goes, hey, how have you been? I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna say, "Oh, well, it's been 2 years. I mean, I haven't been mad at her since. I mean, shit. I mean, what's the big deal? It's been 2 years.
And
Why
what
would
if-
you? And then
what if life has changed for both of us by then?
Oh, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Chris. Is that this person, they can go 1 month or 2 years. It doesn't matter, Chris. It doesn't matter that you're going to go ahead and accept it. And you're going to be 38 going on 39, whatever, and you're going to be, oh, it's 2 years, dude. Fuck. I mean, there's always an excuse. Am I right, Mark?
You don't know what I think about in my head on a daily
Chris,
basis.
I know how
think
you...
about a lot of things.
I know
think
you.
about a lot of things, and I have a lot of thoughts, and I have a way of approaching this, and I feel like you're trying to push me into some, big confrontation, and I don't want that.
A big confrontation? What have I said that says, hey, I need you to go knock on her door and beat her up?
Not fighting. I don't mean fighting like that.
What is what's a confrontation? Is that, hey, I want to know the truth. It's been 8 years. That's a confrontation?
No. But I'm not going to go initiating that. She wants to talk, we can talk.
Oh, my God. Mark, you got anything to say about this shit?
Oh, come on, dude. Come on. So...
If she has anything to say... What the fuck, Chris?
Why are you trying to? I don't understand. What are you trying to get out of Chris, dude? He's not gonna say everything's fine. He's not gonna say that, dude. He's not gonna say, okay, I'm giving up. I'm doing this. I'm moving on with my life. He's not gonna say that. And even if he were to say something like that, he doesn't really mean it.
Yeah.
You know that. So what are you trying to get him to confess, dude?
I'm trying to get Chris to see that either you have to move on with your life, or you need to get down to the bottom of your life right now with this person. And
you don't know the plans I have.
And it's like this guy, he's just in limbo and purgatory, and he's gonna lie to everyone. I'm doing things myself, but he knows that every time he gets a text message, he grabs that phone. Oh, is it Nancy? No, I'm not doing that. I know he's okay. You don't have to correct me, Chris. But I know in the back of your mind, every time you do that, it's in the back of your mind, Chris. And it's going to be in the back of your mind very, 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 very hardcore the next 2 or 3 weeks. And if you don't do something about this now, you're going to waste... I know
something has to be done.
You're going to waste a lot of time. And my second point was the whole 2-year thing. Is you said exactly what I knew you were going to say. And I'm not Nostradamus, I'm not Mark, but I know how you are. And you're going to find a reason to forgive someone for being a piece of trash that, you know what? They had a fight with their other person here. So now they're looking for someone that they know will always answer the call, right? You know that one person, let me scrape the bottom of the barrel. Let me go to the well.
Oh, reliable.
Yeah, let me go. I need to get myself. Man, shit's just not been going good. I need to feel good about myself for the next 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month. Let me give him a call. Let me give him the old text message. And Chris, like I said, it's been 2 years. Why would I be mad? And exactly what he said. Well, yeah, our life can be completely. He's already in that mode that no matter what this person will do, no matter what this person will say, is that I can just forgive them. No matter what.
That's not what I meant by that. Why do you always misinterpret what I mean when I say things? So Chris, that's not what I meant by that.
You just said we can be completely different in our lives.
Completely different meaning. That can mean a lot of things. What if we just never talk again, and then she goes find someone and get married? What if I find someone? A lot of things. What if we move? What if one of us moves? Anything can happen in 2 years.
In the World Wrestling Federation.
Yeah,
I was about to say that, dude.
Yeah, anything can happen, Chris. But again,
then what does it matter?
It matters because if it does happen, that's what's going to happen. You're saying who cares? In 2 years, anything could happen. But if this scenario, which is very likely, Chris, because I know you're probably not going to move. If you move, it's not going to be too far, Chris. And it's pretty ridiculous that you would be with someone for as long as you have. And they've been the same way the entire... There hasn't been a good period or bad period. It's always been the same kind of routine. And no matter what goes on or what they say and what they do, it just goes straight back to it ends. Why? It doesn't end with a blow up. It doesn't. It just ends with silence. And you're like,
there was one time.
Oh, okay, one. Okay, oh, there you go. It's correct. Okay, the one time, but the majority of the time,
actually two.
Is it okay? Out of all the, I don't care how many. I don't know if it's. I don't care if it's 10 times, 100 times, or 1,000,000 times that y'all cut each other off. How many times have you said, "Fuck this, I'm not gonna text her," or did she say, "You know what, I'm not gonna text him," and when she sent the final text, there was no more text to be had after that until she initiated again?
Oh, 1,000,000. I mean, it's happening.
Exactly.
I know what you're saying, but I'm telling you,
she's the one that calls the shots, dude.
I know what you're saying, and I have different plans this time. That's it. That's all it is. I can't say anything other than that. Now, I mean, as far as
plans, dude.
I do have different plans, and that's fine. You know, I know you probably don't believe it, and that's okay. I know, I understand. I understand that I probably haven't given the greatest track record in the world to make you want to believe it. I do get that, but anyway. So, Mark, what's going on with you? How's the latest house so far?
Latest house, great. I got a question for you.
You're still working on the house that the guy hung himself in, right?
Yes, sir. So
Chris,
everything's great.
Chris is gonna be the next one.
The more murders, the better, dude. I love it.
Yep.
So,
Chris is gonna be the next one.
Are you gonna start talking to any other chicks, Chris?
Nope, not right now.
Why not? Am I missing something here, or was I not paying attention?
I guess you are.
That's the thing, is that, all right, Mark. I'm gonna do this whole
Ask me about a house, Joe. Ask me about a house first, Joe, and then you can ask me about.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark. When's your house gonna be ready? You piece of shit.
Everything's great, dude. House will be ready next month, dude. Everything's fine, dude.
All right. So let's just say, in this alternate universe, dude, you're a piece of shit, right? You're a piece of shit, and this girl just played the same routine for 8 years, right? And she stops talking to you. Are you gonna wait around till she texts you, or initiates the contact, or are you gonna start? Are you I guess what I'm asking is the best route to take when you're feeling down and out, because of a certain lady friend? Are you gonna go home after you've had a long day at the office or at the house and just flop down on your lazy boy, dude? Eat some hummus and
not on the lazy boy, but okay.
Eat the last of the hummus.
That's what I have in the fucking fridge. I mean, do you want me to go out and spend money on fucking food? Okay. I mean, it's like.
But Chris, how much?
How much hummus did you buy?
Because I went to Costco and got the thing because I knew it would last the better part of Lent. I knew it would be probably something I'd have a lot of.
So
it's going to be done. I still haven't had fucking dinner. I still haven't had fucking dinner, by the way.
Man, that's why he's so mad.
While we were doing the podcast. Dude.
That's why he's so mad, dude. I still haven't fucking dinner.
When was I supposed to leave to go do that? Anyway, so yeah, it's almost done. It lasts a few weeks. That's it.
He slapped the fuck out of his leg here.
Lasts a few weeks.
The last of the hummus. That's gonna be the new
nuts, Chris.
The last of the hummus. What did you say last time, Chris? I'm not eating bowls of the shit.
I'm not. It's just a little at a time.
I'm not eating bowls of the shit.
It lasts a long period of time.
That was like the funniest thing Chris has ever said.
You only use a little at a time. That's why it lasts.
Was that not the funniest thing that Chris has ever said about being a smart ass back to you? Like you're like, Chris, how much of the last of the hummus are you gonna eat? Like, well, it's not like I'm eating bowls of the shit.
I didn't mean to be sarcastic. I said that because I'm illustrating how it gets.
I'm illustrating the portion size. Okay, that's all I'm doing. Yeah, we get it, Chris. But
I saw some hummus at the grocery store on Sunday. I was like, man, that looks gross, dude. Who the fuck eats that shit?
I like hummus, but Chris has been eating it all fucking month.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of limited on options, so it's like. Anyway.
You're not.
All right, God, I'm not limited on options.
Okay, God.